All right, so our last item that we have to discuss are our common angles. So notice, or hopefully we remember, that when we think back to our geometry, we should remember that we had some special angles of 30, 45, 60, and 90. 90 degrees is a right angle, and then the 30, 45, and 60 are what create our special triangles, which we're going to go over a little bit more on Thursday. And we want to go ahead and try and label all of these. We also want to label some different intervals or multiples of these angles as well. So notice on our first one, this is actually going to be 30 degrees. On our second one, this is going to be 45 degrees. On our next one, this is going to be 60 degrees. On our next one, this is 90 degrees, 180 degrees, and 360 degrees. Now, but remember that we also need to have each of these special angles or common angles in radians as well. Now, we've already found our 90, 180, and 360 in our radians. So remember that 90 is going to be pi over 2, 180 is going to be pi, and 360 is going to be 2 pi. Those are pretty straightforward. Now, for our first three, they're going to be a little bit different. So notice that it looks like it's been broken apart into pieces. So that top half of our circle is 1 pi. So if we count our number of circles, or number of triangles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if we have 1 pi, we've broken it up into 6 pieces, and we've shaded in one of those. Notice that it would be a 1/6 of a pi. So we're going to write that as pi over 6. On our next one, we've broken it into 4 pieces, and we've shaded in 1. So along the same terms, it would be a 1/4 of a pi. So we're going to write that as pi over 4. And then lastly, notice that we've broken it into 3 pieces, and we've shaded in one of them, so this will become a 1/3 of a pi, which is pi over 3. Now, like I said, we also want to label the different intervals or the different multiples of these angles. So notice that we have a 30-degree angle, we have a 45-degree angle, and we have a 60-degree angle. Now, hopefully we notice that in between our first and our second quadrant, it's going to be 90 degrees. That means that if I go from my 60-degree angle and I add 90 degrees to get to this last one, I would take 60 plus 90, and we're going to get 150. So we're going to label that one as 150 degrees. Likewise, we can take our 45-degree angle and add 90. So we would do 45 plus 90 is going to give us 135 degrees. And then we would have 30 plus 90 is going to give us 120 degrees. Also, hopefully we notice that if we create the line straight across from 60, we know that a straight line creates a 180-degree angle. So to find the angle that's created here, we could take 60, add 180, and we're going to get 240 degrees. Likewise, we can do the same thing with 45 by adding 180, and we're going to get 225 degrees. And then we want to take 30 and add 180, and we're going to get 210. And it's going to be pretty similar, except this time we're going to add 180 to the angles that were in our second quadrant. So we would have 150 plus 180, which is going to give us 330 degrees. We would have 135 plus 180, which is going to give us 315 degrees. And then lastly, we would have 120 plus 180, which is going to give us 300. Now, that's all of our intervals for our 30, 45, 60. Remember that we also have all of our right angles. So this first one would be 0 degrees or 360 degrees. We also have 90 degrees up here at the top, 180 degrees over to the left. And notice that this would be 270 because we would take 180 and add 90.